What is going on? Thank you for coming to Vape with the Viking today. So today what I got for you is another Vaperz cloud product. I might have a problem. Nah, and it's a privilege, right? A Vaperz cloud privilege. So it is the Asgard Mini 25 millimeter RDA. This was actually purchased by Barbie for me for Father's Day and for the purpose of this review. Yeah. So, what this is basically a shrunken down version of the ever popular, for me at least, and hopefully you, the Asgard 30 millimeter RDA. So, what I got it on is the Mech Life Arcless Mech Mod by Mech Life and Ambitions Vapor. This has actually became my work beater or work daily use mech, just because if you watch the review, there's some safety features in it. It's got some nice knurling. I'm a metal worker, so stuff slips out of my hands constantly. So really good everyday workhorse of a mech. And now it's got a really good RDA on top of it. So got some K coils, 27 gauge aliens in there, working really well, and some Zolo Smooth by Darkstar. If you watched the review before on the Keen, I had purple slush in that, and that's what people would consider a grape. But if you want grape from Darkstar, this is it. And what they describe it as is it's an infusion of grapes, mellow fruits, and a intricate concoction of ripened forest berries. So, a lot of wording in there for really good grape with a touch of berry, like candy, basically. The way I would describe it to people is kind of like a grape Jolly Rancher with like some kind of berry hint in there. So that's probably, in at least my head, the most perfect way to describe the juice itself. Really, really good stuff. So, before we get into the Asgard Mini, though, as usual, Vikings Advocacy Minute. Like I tell you every single time, you don't have to be involved, but be informed. Knowledge is power. Do not let stuff happen and you just kind of be like, I didn't see that coming, or I didn't know. There's no excuses anymore. Go to CASA.org, go to Not Blowing Smoke. Tons of advocacy groups on Facebook if you don't want to get into those sites, or a separate site. But there's just no way in this day and age you cannot be informed, because if you're not informed and we get bit in the butt, you have no excuse. Literally. Gonna be preachy about it, but sorry, you have no excuse. So, we'll get past that and we'll get back to this RDA. So what we'll do is what we do usual. We'll dive down on it, open it up, wick it, throw coils in it, give you some specs while we're down there. We'll come back up, we'll vape on it. I can tell you where you can find it and for what price, all my pros and cons on it. So let's drop the hammer on the Asgard Mini. All right, so what I got for you today is basically not really an update. It is a new product, but it is a Vaperz Cloud product. We have the Vaperz Cloud Asgard Mini. And of course you get the pouch as usual. You'll get the accessory bag that'll have your post screws, O-rings, Allen tool, and then you'll have your Asgard. So, big thing with this is I'm not going to do a huge to do about it, go through all the little ins and outs and everything, because we literally just did the 30 millimeter not too long ago. So realistically, it is just a shrunken down version of the 30 millimeter. And you literally will have the same kind of configuration going on. You have Vaperz Cloud at the bottom, your serial number, and then you have these squonk fill bolts, fill pins, whatever you want to call them, to stop your squonking from your 510. You'll still have that same spots in there to secure them down. So, and you do have your beauty ring, because this is a 25 millimeter RDA. You do have the beauty ring to make it a 28, so it'll fit onto a bigger mod, or even like, let's say, the Keen. So you're looking here, the size difference there, and take it off there, put it back on in here, and this is on the arcless, and you'll be able to see what it looks like. 25 millimeter. Sits nice and flush right on that camphor or lip on the mod. So you're going to have the same kind of airflow configuration going on each side. Asgard and then Vaperz cloud right there on the back. And on the inside, same as it was on the bigger rendition, but you do have that Ultim chamber reducer in there that you can actually, when it's off of the atomizer, you can actually adjust with the drip tip, because it does lock into place in there just like the 30 millimeter. But once it's on the actual atomizer, you would adjust it by just spinning the barrel as such. So like here would be fully open. Put it on your barrel here, or on the atomizer, and it's fully open, but you can also turn it. It's kind of hard to see. And that would be closed. And just slowly turn, and that'll open that guy up. And now it's fully open. Alright, so in there I do have some K coils, just a standard 3-core aliens in there. Very nice. The other difference on this deck versus the 30 millimeter, they did etch Asgard onto the deck itself. But other than that, it still has your 2 little catch lips for your Ultim piece. Still double O-ring. Still flathead screws. The one thing that I did kind of like about this one a little bit better than the 30 is the way they inset at least 2 of the screws. So it's a lot easier to get your screwdriver in there. And instead of, I for one am not a big fan of flatheads, because I tend to shake and sit there and fiddle with it forever. Theirs are at least nice and deeper. But when you have an atomizer like this, I like this because even if you're not on it, you can just kind of slowly spin until it fits in there, and then you know it's not gonna, you're not gonna wobble out or anything like that. It'll stay in there. So that was a cool little feature that was particular to this one. So, but other than that, the 8 millimeter juice well, and that's kind of how I have it all wicked up and built. Basically, just much smaller version of what I did with the 30 millimeter. And the big thing is if you do not own or have seen my 30 millimeter review, one thing I would urge on the 25 is, and even on the 30, is take your drip tip off. Then of course you'll spin to unlock the Ultim piece, and everything's going to be super juicy. My bad. But when you go to build and you want to make sure your coil placement is correct, just take that Ultim piece out of there, fit it on there, and just take a look and see where coils are. One, it'll make sure that you don't get too close to that Ultim, but 2, it'll make sure you have the right height, because as you can see here, let me see if I can get a little closer, I have it so that slot is hitting directly under the coils, because then these top 3 holes are going to hit right at the coil, and then that slit is going to roll under the coil. So that way you'll be able to get as much flavor out of it as possible. So that is kind of pretty much the rundown of that guy here. So 30T on the arcless, a little action going on there. And these are his K-Coil's calm coils, so you can imagine what some of his other ones, what kind of action they got going on there. But all right, that is all I got on the Asgard Mini. Let's come back up top, vape on it. All right, we are back up with the Asgard Mini on the arcless. So, uh, thoughts on it? First, you can pick this up at Vaperz Cloud, either Vaperz Cloud or Vaperz Cloud UK, just depending on where you live, for 50 bucks. They do have the black and they do have the stainless steel editions. So, of course, I went with black, even though it's harder to read Asgard on there. Almost all my stuff's black. So, hey, there we go. Eventually, I might get some mods that are stainless so I can start doing stainless RDAs, but I don't know. I like black better. It's just me. So, anyway, like set it and dive down, it is 25 millimeter RDA. It does come with a beauty ring like the original 30 millimeter, which extends it out to a 28. So you could take something like the run it on the Keen. The Keen has a interchangeable beauty rings. Like I said in that review, it does have a 28 millimeter ring option, so you can actually throw the mini on there and get something a little smaller. That if you're not you don't want this kind of weight and that top heaviness per se, I don't mind it. But hey, so two different drip tips. You do have the shorter one and then the thicker one. I went with the shorter one just because I like how big the bore is. It's easier to drip down into it, for me at least. I'm not a very accurate dripper. So 6 millimeter juice well, like I said, didn't dive down. So not a huge precaution of over dripping. It's still happening, of course, but it's not as bad. I'm pretty bad about it, and I haven't got it to leak yet. So, so we got capacity is pro, aesthetics is going to be a pro in my opinion. Again, that's really subjective. You might not like how it looks with or without the beauty ring. Performance-wise, that Ultim condenser, basically, or overcap, whatever you want to call it, but it's a chamber reducer. Works really well in the 30 and the 25. Literally, in my honest opinion, I was amazed by the 30 millimeter because of what kind of flavor production and even cloud production. This, oddly enough, I thought might be a little bit better because it is smaller per se, but it almost works exactly like the 30 millimeter, which the 30 millimeter works really well. So it's just a shrunken down version, in my opinion. The coil placements work almost exactly the same. Well, not almost, it does work exactly the same because of that chamber reducer. It's just literally a smaller version. And before anybody says that, well, that's a cash grab. No, it's not. Because not everybody's going to go pick up the 30 millimeter. It's because they don't, have the device it'll fit on, or they think, okay, that's a huge RDA. Even after watching reviews like me and everyone else that has done a review on it, you're not going to get a lot of reproduction of cloud or flavor off of it. Well, mostly flavor is what they would probably be concerned about. But it does. But again, still might just be too big for you. So that's why I don't consider that a cash grab. I consider this for people who don't want that. Or you got people like me that say, I want both. So, because they both have their own purposes. But, so this is ohming out to about a 1.5. Again, running that Zolo Smooth in it. So, show you a little bit of vapor production off of it. So 1.5, it's not hot, and it's just a touch warm. So really good vapor production, of course, off K coils aliens in there, just the standard aliens. Flavor really good. This is wide open, and I'm still getting a ton of flavor. I can crack it down a bit here. Let's go to about a quarter of the way closed off. So out of that multiple hold airflow there. And it just got a little warmer. Flavor is still there, still bursting, whether it's wide open, half closed, quarter of the way closed. In my opinion, it just really changes the temperature, really. And of course, the draw, you can definitely tell it's more condensed in there. But so I rock both the 25 and the 30 millimeters wide open. So I like that airflow in there because it doesn't affect the flavor. It's still got great flavor. But, that's really about all I got. I had a bunch of pros, Like I said, the subjective con might be the people out there with the cash grab thing in their head. So I want to squash that. Uh, the other con might be just aesthetic. You might not like that it's kind of just straight looking RDA. So, I mean, you can change it up with the beauty ring, but it is kind of what it is there. So I really don't have any cons. Sorry, no cons for you today. But I want to thank each and every one of you yet again for coming to Vape with a Viking. And I'll catch you later.